Hello, everybody. If there is anybody there, I don't know if there's anybody there. Oh, no, it tells us there are people there. Hi.
There are
Good
people?
morning. I think all the robots, just lots of robots.
Russian bots. All their comment, all the Russian bots are just there commenting on how much they. Oh, I don't know where I'm going with this. Hello, everyone. First thing that Jez says is that we're wearing exactly the same clothes. Every time we do this podcast, I have to. You've changed it. You're wearing the same hoodie. I have to wear my company goods. You know, it's part of the it's part of the deal.
Yeah. So anyway, good morning, afternoon, and evening, Internet Denzians. I am Mike Elsmore, developer advocate at Logs.io, and
hello, I'm Jim Second, developer advocate at Jump24.
And this is the Tech Off Topic podcast stream thing. One day I'm going to find a better way of describing that. I'm not sure how.
Perfect branding, Mike. Perfect branding.
It's a thing.
That's like a bit of Lord of the Rings. Quest, mission, thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, God. It's so warm in my apartment. I've discovered there's a thing called heating. And now every time I'm steaming up.
Yeah, it is absolutely freezing, and my office is absolutely freezing. And also, the cat is possibly going to pop in. So, if anyone hears random meowing, that's my cat. But we're all used to that now because we're all working from home, and we're all sort of half cut at home in our pajamas. So,
I was about to say, I thought the internet was half cat anyway.
Pretty much, yeah.
And the other half we don't talk about on a child-friendly stream.
Each stand-up is basically a sort of is a quest to see how many cats can interrupt the stand-up. I think that seems to happen at my company every morning.
Oh, I didn't manage to get Slack because I keep forgetting I don't have it installed on this Windows computer. So no, we haven't told the Slack that we're talking.
Oh, what a not having Slack open on your computer. Now, if we could talk about massive productivity boosts. Actually, on that front, Stuart Langridge gave me the best piece of advice ever, which is when you're working, have Slack on your phone and take it off your desktop. Done.
Except the fact that I then take my phone with me afterwards, and that means I've got messages until 8 p.m.
That means that that means you didn't need to install PagerDuty. You just get whilst you're just queuing up to Bonehead to get like fried chicken, then Slack just keeps on going off.
Bonehead. Hey, Bonehead are doing a collaboration with Patty Man at the moment. Well, from next week, it's going to be great.
Which is all good, despite the fact that it's just been announced that Birmingham is tier 3. Hooray, we did it! And someone posted something brilliant on Twitter that was really funny, which was a little clip, a little Giphy clip of I can't remember what film it's from, but it's just two blokes just going, yeah, and they're pouring a drink out. Who would have thought it? Yeah. Us together, and it just has a caption of like Birmingham and Manchester.
Right. Shall we get started on some of these tech topics? Unless anybody in the audience has something that they want to throw into the mix to throw us off target, because I'm all for being thrown off target. Because otherwise, what's the point in calling it off?
Well,
topic?
this is tech off topic. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the tech version of Baddiel and Skinner Unplugged, but the problem is that neither of us are funny. So.
How dare you? Plenty of people laugh at me.
I mean, lots of people laugh at me as well. This isn't good. Jess is biding his time, like he's just waiting to pull the trigger on some complete gotcha.
That is not scaring the living daylights out of me at all.
That sounds terribly. That sounds awful. To start with, a little shout out to iChoose Birmingham, who just gave us a bit of a retweet, because we are going to be mentioning a little bit about Birmingham because it's relevant for this particular tech off topic. So because we are sort of I mean, if it comes up, we throw in our home city, don't we, where we are?
Well, we live here. We may as well talk about it when it's relevant.
We're active members of the tech scene here, so why not?
That's a relative scale, there, mate.
No comment. The thriving tech hub, which we'll get onto the article that sort of caused this, but
yeah, okay.
So From the do you want to? Should we go from the top?
No, how about we pick one at random, because I think the one at the top is no longer of that much relevance.
Can we get some? Can we get? I'm going to pick the first one because it's boring and I hate it and I'm not interested.
What?
SpaceX successful launch.
Right. No, this. There's a reason I wanted to do this one, because it's actually pissing me off. Right.
Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
Humanity moving forward. SpaceX, Elon Musk, all that great, fantastic space missions. I actually wanted to be an astronaut as a kid. Love that. Why the hell are they flying these things on an iPad?
I didn't know about that.
Did you not notice they've got an iPad strapped to their legs, and then they're flying it using a freaking giant iPad? It's an iPad Pro.
So it's space drones.
It's not even.
We'll get on to other things that are parts of dystopian future, which are also mentioned in the that are mentioned in our sort of agenda. But what is this Skynet? What's it called? It's dangerously close to Skynet, isn't it? The name for it. Skylink. Is it? It's
start googling. If you're not sure, start googling. That's our solution to everything. But I know SpaceX is a subject we're all it's been all over the news. We're all very aware of it. Blah 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 blah. But has nobody pointed out the ridiculousness that we're sending people into space with an iPad? How many times have you been using your phone on a train, a bus, in the car, or just walking, and you've managed to fat thumb the wrong emoji or send something that you weren't meant to send already because you weren't paying attention? In space, if you do that, you're gonna die.
I can't believe I'm not sure I believe you about this iPad thing. I would just like to add at this point that the reason why I put Skylink in is because I thought it was called that, but clearly it's not, because it's the bus that you get when you want to go to East Midlands Airport, and I've put that in there because I've got the Skylink bus before. For any non UK people, that's a bus that goes between Leicester, Nottingham, and Derby to an airport. Because they chose to build an airport where they're in between, where there weren't many people, with no train line. So, what's it called? It's Skynet, Skylink.
I don't know.
Elon Musk. This is what this podcast is all going to be about, is my Googling skills. There we go. Elon Musk, Skylink is the top thing that comes up. Google's just trying to be too clever. It's like, oh, you want the bus service, clearly, don't you? Starlink.
Oh yeah, his new spaceship.
It's loads of little minions kind of hooked up across. Because if anything, when I was little, I thought the future would be a sort of madman that was mainly famous previously last year for intervening and saving Thai boys with a miniature submarine, in putting loads and loads of mini satellites up in space. With some absurdly rich man. I mean, this is basically a James Bond plot, isn't it?
Yes, except there isn't any fun or anything interesting about it anymore. Just saying.
Keeping space clean is one of the things that he's put on there.
Jim, are you running this on a giant screen? Because I can see many things on your stream.
Many things.
Well, I can see a cat as well as the SpaceLink website. That's
the article behind it, which.
Oh right, I thought you were running. It's like he's running a 4K screen and somehow only seeing a quarter of it.
Something's just completely bodged in here. I'm going to stop screen sharing. So presumably it is Starlink. So there we go. So the future is loads of mini satellites being put into space, controlled by iPads, right?
Yep. And I just making. Oh no, that's the wrong screen. This is me.
I love the fact that.
There we go. My point.
Danny's just put that Elon Musk has been nicknamed Space Karen.
Oh Jesus!
Which I think is brilliant.
Space Karen. No, Karen.
Come on! I want to put the things into space. Let me talk to your manager.
I repeat. I see an iPad strapped to a flipping leg, and iPad Pro's been used to control a bloody spacecraft. I'm pulling 10 Gs, and I'm managing to play flipping Fruit Ninja.
The reason I just don't. I should be interested in. I tell you what, I am interested in. I'm interested in in exploration from the perspective of like when I was little, you used to see like when it came to, you had the book on a book on the planets, and you'd go like, and they'd go, oh, and here's an artist's impression of Pluto, and it's very small and it's very cold. And to me, all it was a painting in the 1980s by some artist doing an impression of what we think it is, and the real picture of Pluto was a dot from a photograph. And then in 2005, I think it was 6 pixels or something, which had a slight tint to them, and that was the best thing we got. So when it came to excitement in space exploration, when we actually got a high-res photo of Pluto from, what's it called? New Horizons? That was absolutely amazing. Elon Musk spending all of his money at the point that we're in a global pandemic, and we had to have Dolly Parton save us all. Do you know what I mean? Can these people not spend their money on something more useful?
Thank you, Danny. She's saving me with access to the actual article, so I can skim read it whilst we rage out at Elon Musk and his.
I'm just not interested in rich people thinking I want to put my name on humanity by taking over the whole of space exploration. It doesn't excite me as much as it should do. Am I just being grumpy? Oh, talking about grumpy, what was Dave Evans, the .NET and Xamarin organizer, coined us as what was it? BGT, Beer Grump Tech, as this is the grumpy tech corner.
He's not half wrong.
I rebrand. I said it should be Britain's Got Tinnitus, because anyone that's listening will have tinnitus come the end of the hour, I think.
Hey, you call me loud?
Oh, to be honest, I'm the loud one. My wife did say, can you just turn it down a bit, because you basically shout at the mic. So now I'm just shout at the mic.
Somebody had to make that joke. All right, let's move on to that, because like that's all I wanted to do about SpaceX was great, mission successful. Fucking iPad.
Yes, don't control your. It does boil down to the right tools for the right job, doesn't it? So, when creating a scalable backend from scratch and you're not using lambdas and you can use a monolith, don't do it in Node, please. I need to be able to read the code. When you're launching things into space, don't use iPads. Come on.
To be fair, we were launching space shuttles into space with Haskell.
I was about to say, it's only a matter of time before the large handlebar moustache brigade with their fancy coffee, basically like, why not JavaScript to launch space things? Surely.
No, there's a thing in the space shuttle. I think it's a space shuttle where it's the computers used to calculate the entry directories and stuff. Part of the autopilot process had to be done through 3 different programming languages, so 3 different applications to make sure they came to a consensus. So it ran the calculation, and they had to do it.
Python Haskell,
and it was and Haskell was one of them. It was one of the proudest things that Joe Nash ever told me. Part of those beard twiddling functional Haskell people.
What's the supposedly the future of programming? Danny's helping us out by putting with Fortran. Surely not COBOL. Surely.
That's where you make the money.
That's space done. You pick.
To make my employer happy, and because I actually am quite interested in this, my employer literally just finished a round of funding, which is amazing because we're in the middle of a pandemic and they're still managing to get money out of people.
There is still money. I think that I think it was how much was that funding round again for logs?
23 million.
No, it's not. It's not loose change, is it?
It's not loose change, but it's also not like unicorn stats. Like I think Snick went unicorn earlier in the year.
Yeah, when we were chatting about this earlier, Sneak or Snick, or I love the fact that in the DevRel Slack, Simon Maple, by his own admission, was like pronouncing it wrong, but he's like, that's the director of DevRel for Sneak. Sneak got to unicorn status, but I mean, they just built out effectively a DevOps killer app, didn't they? Like an essential pipeline tool, which begs the question, like, how did something like that not exist before?
Well, that's the thing. It had, but all in disparate things that were bolted together. Not even as open source.
People's like hand-built stuff in like Chef and Puppet.
Rando bash scripts. Not kidding. I used to do some of the stuff that we have in SNCC, the NPM audit stuff where it would auto bump things and check. That was a bash script I had cobbled together years ago.
Classic DevOps, isn't it? It's like I came originally. I mean, my wife's in the credit risk world, from Equifax, and I was at Registry Trust for years, which is the register of CCJs, and we had this kind of like the in joke, and it's a bit like if you know people that work for sort of major in tech in major banks like Barclays. I knew someone that was a VP at Barclays, and they all say the same thing of like you get this impression that it's this slick machine, like a credit score or where you're going to get a mortgage is clearly some very advanced like Python app. No, it's not. It's usually a load of cobbled together spreadsheets and stuff like that.
It's great that you realize that the majority of financial information is held in a flipping spreadsheet.
yeah, linked spreadsheets for the win, or Microsoft Access. But I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me. I started in Access, so
I think we all played with Access. We just moved on.
Oh no, we had production code in Access. Yeah. Lots of Stack Overflow early days, and that's how I kind of learnt.
Right,
I'm a professional.
Let's move on from that bad thing to. Shall we move on to something else bad, or should we pick up something nice?
Let's pick something nice because you just had the chance to plug to plug your employer. So I'm going to choose something that that my employer. That my boss put up, and everyone was sort of chatting about it a little bit, and it's really interesting actually. It comes from a similar space of running the Birmingham PHP user group.
Am I sharing your screen for this?
When I did, yes, it's the cat thing.
Well, your screen shared.
Yeah,
I give up because US East one.
No, we're not. Well, that's
That's for a later one.
There we go. This is an article by the
Jim. Look at the stream.
What is wrong with my computer? Honestly, so I just like minimize that and bring. No, I hate it.
Is this your Mac?
It is a Mac. Yeah, this is the sort of the world of hate that we have to put up with. I
like my Mac,
okay,
even though I'm streaming off my Windows machine.
Let's try that again. Oh, come on. Okay, you're going to have to do it.
I share my screen.
My machine, even when I set it up properly, just doesn't want to play ball.
I love this. Last week, the problem was Jim's internet turned him into a robot.
Let's just
Inception. Do. All right. Oh,
we're always well prepared on this podcast. Seriously.
Well, it's only week 2. Give us a chance. Well,
yeah. Oh, look at this. We've actually got like Mike in the chat. We've genuinely got a Russian bot. It's brilliant. Want to become famous? Buy followers and viewers on click.ru. If anyone wants a virus, go and check that out.
Okay, hello. I can't.
You click on button, you get money.
This is not hack. This is nice, friendly code to help.
You like JavaScript? Free grifting course.
Okay, let's go back. So someone attacked our company.
So the name of the company is Fathom, and it's one of these. So I started talking about the start of the PHP user group in Birmingham. When you invite a speaker, the thing that engages people the most, that always interests people the most, is when someone talks about their company or talks about a story about their company. And this article by Jack Ellis, there's only 2 of them at this company called Fathom, is like a story of a smallish startup that had a really good product and have gone quite and have got a decent amount of funding, a decent amount of clients, and they got subjected to a targeted DDoS that they were absolutely completely unprepared for. Can you do that fancy thing where you paste the link and then everyone sees it? Because I can't do that.
It's not fancy. It's just called knowing what you're doing, kind of. There we go.
So you sort of read the story and it starts off with the DDoS attack and their their requests going up like to 10,000 a second and things like this, and they tackle it. It's interesting because it's very organic the way that and I can see his thinking, which is we're not paying for expensive AWS products and security products and things like this. We're not paying for Cloudflare. And because the reason is because, we're an extremely tech savvy company and we can handle this. And you see him over the course of a weekend with his other developer, the other co-founder, trying to tackle it themselves. And by the stage that they've done 2 days, including a personal story of him wanting to sit down with his wife and have dinner and have an evening because he's spent a whole day pretty much working out, writing custom scripts to start creating creating security doors and things. And they're just not on top of it, and they can't do it, and it gets more and more intense. And eventually they start talking to, it's quite a nice story about, it's not a plug for AWS, but because he's being truthful about it, but AWS's response when contacting their account manager and then getting the actual engineers on board, AWS just we've got this, don't worry about it. And then they just, with both of them, with all of them together, form a war room and take it on. And it's really interesting in the conclusions that and he gives some stats as well. If you scroll down a bit towards the end, here we go. So there we go. How much did the attack cost us? So all of the lambdas get completely and they've got API gateway for all their requests and various database upgrades. But AWS Shield Advanced is with Pro Rata is the thing that basically saves them, along with AWS's engineering team. An interesting thing. They say, why didn't we choose Cloudflare when it was a perfectly an option they could have done? And also was a final kicker, and a thing that why it was mentioned at work is you find out. Someone recently, the old school comment of my employer is a Laravel partner, it's a PHP studio, and someone when we were mentoring them said, I don't want to learn PHP because it doesn't scale, or it's or it's dying, etc., etc. This whole product is based on is Laravel, and it's got some Laravel Vapor for AWS Lambdas. The same as if you're going to do anything in Python and Django and asynchronous stuff, and if you want to use serverless framework. So this one is a story. It's just no different. It also shows you the level of requests that they're dealing with Horizon and Vapor. So yeah, for any of the PHP won't scale crowd, I'm sorry, it's still there. And yeah, from start to finish. A very, very fascinating read. The author was not really prepared for the reaction where it did the rounds everywhere, and then it got to the top of Hacker News. Not that you should check out Hacker News. No one should check out Hacker News.
Too late. Yeah. All right,
so yes, go and check out that article. It's very interesting.
I'm dealing with the fact that for a 2-man band, $6,000 in less than 10 days.
Yeah, yeah, bit of a dustbin of money, that, wasn't it?
All I can think of is, that's gonna hurt.
I can only, as you read it, the pain is on your face, where you go, oh, especially when his personal life comes into it, and you're like, been there, done that, startup. I've got this, and before you know, it's 2:00 in the morning, and you're there like,
There is a reason products exist.
Yeah.
And engineers, most of us, and I'm including you in the crowd, people, most of us have a sense of arrogance, the fact that we have done some of this before. So the ability to go, well, I can do it again if it happens, but then it happens 10 times the scale that has ever happened to you before, and it's no. That's
exactly what happens in that article. It starts off with I've got this, and then there's custom things to start sending stuff to Terraform to reprovision things, and then by the end of it, he's like, no, I can't do that.
Say it louder for people at the back. You really sure you want to get me louder?
the moral of the story is sometimes trust the experts, it's interesting seeing when if you're a decent tier in AWS's stack that they are armed and dangerous.
They actually have some really, really clever engineers. It's just a shame that you have to pay an arm and a leg to get there first.
Yeah, they know that they know they've got a. I'm not going to say they've got a corner on the market, because I think anyone at DigitalOcean would get really grumpy, or Kai at Civio will.
Kai at Civio is essentially a cobbled together mess at the moment, so we'll leave that one.
Oh dear, a cobbled together mess.
To be fair, Civo is the definition of Britain in pandemic. It's kind of working, not well.
Is it working for us? Anyway, that's pandemic talk, and nobody came on to listen to let's talk about COVID. Oh, please no. Right. The only thing saving me from COVID is his Dark Materials at the moment. Are you picking something next?
I kind of want to get onto the article brought up by Sil.
Okay, this brings our wonderful home city into the limelight, as it were.
By a limelight, you mean in a mine shaft with a canary about to die?
Oh, lovely. So ever the optimist. Do you want to?
I never said I was a nice person.
Paste this article from the Guardian is there's a lot of stuff going on with it. It's about Birmingham's. I mean, they pitch it somewhat as Mayor Andy Street's gamble. It's
a lot more than that, but that is a component.
I mean, as far as I can see it, it's really we're now at the peak of what was called the Big City Plan in 1990, founded around 1998, which was to overturn the reputation that the city still has of being a concrete jungle, when it's not at all. It's completely different. I left this city to go to university in 2002 and was the butt of all jokes. And I didn't defend my home city at all. And since choosing to move here from London when I came back, it is absolutely completely different. It's a cool, brilliant place to work that is and it's big. That's probably another thing that generally gets lost, is that this is the second largest city in the UK, and it has no media presence. So this article really is about the gamble at the end of the Big City Plan, and the big gamble was on retail to revitalise the entire city centre. And one of the linchpins of it was, I mean, it was Andy Street's, when he was CEO of John Lewis. It was his ambition to get Birmingham John Lewis, because he didn't have one, just out of circumstance, really. And they finally got their plan, which is having them as the linchpin for the entire New Street station, having them as the what do they call it, anchor tenant. And COVID has wiped out the city centre completely at the point that John Lewis is not opening after the first lockdown, and it's going to bring a lot of the city is going to tumble. Birmingham, the independent Birmingham have basically sort of sounded the alarm of trying to get our independent scene, because if there's one thing I will sing about, the independent scene in Birmingham of food, as everyone knows, and fashion and some tech as well, has been thriving and is incredibly cool, and is something that we do extremely well, especially things like Digbeth Dining Club and things like that. And these small independents that are some of the coolest places to eat and drink are possibly not going to survive tier 3 that's just been announced. Everything that's like a range of retail, from the massive plans to the independent retailers. I don't know what we're going to look like after this, but we're kind of losing everything.
And I'm just going to... Hi, Luke. We have Luke from Vonage in the crowd. It's been a long time since I've seen him. But I want to bring this to a slightly more... Because, to be fair, the inevitable heat death of the high street has been a thing for years. And it's just the fact that playing the retail card and it falling over, great.
But Birmingham repositioned itself. But Manchester with really with the investment in UK Fast which made it the only one of the first alternative hubs outside of London for actual cohabitation and actual servers and to put physical stuff on. Co-location stuff back in the day when that used to happen before crazy virtualized tech, right? And Birmingham was just miles behind. So our card that we played was retail, and we've lost. Really, haven't we?
It's the fact that this Guardian article pretty much sees how everybody else is going to be seeing the city, but as people inside of the Brum Tech scene, we have seen it impact other places. So there is your previous employer who has been struggling for a long while with contracts diminishing because of, well, they suck, but also because of the fact that larger clients are not outsourcing as much as they were. And I'm talking about the really bad previous employer. I'm refusing to name them at this point in time.
Oh, okay. Now I get you. Yeah, I'm not interested in whatever that is they do. But
we've also got Black Cat, which was a thriving pinnacle of they used to run meetups. They were great to their employees. Yeah,
the biggest kind of, it does give opportunity for those companies that have recently set up shop in Birmingham. Particularly, the two names that spring to mind are the Economist's Tech Hub and Sidetrade. But Black Cat's loss, which for anyone that's listening, that was a major agency, mainly JavaScript, .NET, and Java.
Some of the biggest people in the DevOps space in the Birmingham area.
Yeah, they hosted Docker Birmingham. They hosted Cloud Native. I think they hosted JavaScript Birmingham.
They hosted the AWS meetups as well.
Yes, the AWS kind of it rotated with them and Click and the Eco. I can't remember, but that space also, it comes down to this investment in space as well. So their space was crucial to the meetup scene, was in central Birmingham, and a lot of the tech scene in this city is not centered in, but a lot of it's in the Jewellery Quarter in Digbeth. And for meetups, it's no good because it's not near a train. It's not near a train station. Our train network is not very good. The tram system. One of the good things is that they've been able to build fairly unimpeded. But we've lost a major space. So now all of those meetups have got to find a new space. Although I did see that Matt Todd had posted something about one of those meetups where there's a new host, and oh no, it still said thanks to Black Cat. I've just remembered. So yeah, that's a pretty big loss. And then it just falls to whoever wants to take up the reins, really, that can still function that. But again, with COVID, this boils down to, are you still going to make your employees? There's another major technology business, a product business in the Jewellery Quarter, or was in the Jewellery Quarter. I don't know how much is general knowledge of this yet, but for anyone who wants to dig a bit deeper, it's not going to be hard to find out there. But they've got rid of their premises. They've gone. They're all remote, and they were another meetup space as well. And that's another linchpin gone. The office space is going, and I don't know where Birmingham's going to stand on this, because the primary tenant for 3 Snow Hill, the massive one, was BT. What are they going to do with that now? It's almost finished. Are they going to move
BT's on the side of the building?
1,000.
It's finally got the BT logo on the side of it.
No, but on the Snow Hill building?
Yeah, it's one of my large sweeping walks, which is essentially walk the perimeter of the Jewellery Quarter. Means walking down Great Hampton Street, and then there's this giant purple blimp in the sky that is the BT symbol on the side of a nearly constructed but looks like a ghost town building. Yeah. So with major tenants like that, I mean, there's tenants that will work. Like one of the area central ones was one of their key tenants is HMRC. People always pay taxes. What is it that's sure in life? It's death and taxes or something. More central government. Having said that, when we got announced at Tier 3, the BBC didn't even bother to put Birmingham on any of the headlines, because we're not really important to them, a thing that regularly bugs me. I'm saying nothing. And so
this brings on to there's 2 points that come off the back of this. So if you picked the Guardian article, have you pasted that in? There's 2 new things. When we actually when we put out you put out a tweet and said, like, has anyone got any topics they want to discuss? The local art historian Ruth Millington threw out Cold War Steve, which was a good shout, because Cold War Steve has been endlessly. He took the kind of mantra that of my favorite thing to amuse me on the internet off. Who was the bloke that used to do stuff in MS Paint? Jim will paint it. I think it was Jim will paint it. If you've not looked it up, I'm gonna have to paste that in now.
Please.
If anyone wants to see what Jim will paint it is, it started off as a bit of fun where some bloke said, I like painting detailed things in MS Paint. And then he started taking requests, and the requests got more and more random, and then he would just paint them, and the result was absolutely amazing. I actually have one of his T-shirts, and one of his that he's printed, and the request was Roy Atat Walker. So it's Roy Walker from Catchphrase, but his face has been put on side of a Star Wars Atat Walker, and there's a speech bubble saying "Say what you see." That's comedy at its finest. Cold War Steve pretty much took that like, oh, what's he done now? What's Cold War Steve done now? Of his montages, like his pastiches of a horrendous society that is gradually becoming reality. So he's Birmingham based, but he didn't have an exhibition city for ages, even though he got exhibitions at probably, I think it was Tate Modern or Tate Britain first. He was he's had exhibitions in Manchester and London before someone thought, should he probably not like exhibit in his own city, which he finally did. So he's in Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery now. He's just had he's on Sky Arts, just had a program on how he's using social media to make art. It's very, very cool. So that was one thing that came off it. And the second one was, as we were talking about the local scene, Stephen Knight. Stephen Knight's big plan. For anyone who doesn't know, Stephen Knight is the creator and director of Peaky Blinders, which, from the Brumtex Slack, a confirmation from Max Wolf at GitLab was that that Peaky Blinders right now is our biggest international export. Stephen Knight's big plan to create a massive set of film studios, because the media is effectively dead in this city since ITV moved out and then BBC closed Pebble Mill and moved to Salford Quays. This plan has been ongoing for ages. Where is it? And in timely fashion.
By plan going on for ages, you mean like pretty much anything? Somewhere outside of Birmingham, we're going to do it in Birmingham sometime
maybe in the future when we get the thing. And the timely news why this came up, apart from the fact that it linked in with sort of with the meetup scene in the city centre, is Netflix have just announced funding of $1 billion into their physical film site in New Mexico. So the death of conventional broadcasting really is still underway. It shows no sign of stopping. So, Stephen, these Mercian studios, can we have them before before Birmingham is only good at food and nothing else?
I will massively disagree with this. We're also quite good at beer.
We're getting better at beer compared to Manchester and Leeds. I think London's just rubbish. I'm sorry. I lived there for 9 years and possibly longer. Actually, it was longer. And it's maybe because it's not craft, it's real ale that I'm into. But landlords trying to keep real ale, they can't do it. They're crap at it. They can't do it. They can't keep a pint of beer. They just can't do it. I don't understand.
I disagree with you because I live within spitting distance of the Rock and Roll Brewery.
That's in Birmingham.
Yes, that's what I mean.
I'm talking about London.
Oh. Yeah.
Brum can keep real ale. That's because anywhere north of Milton Keynes can deal with real ale. It's just pub landlords like, you what, mate? Sorry, this pint tastes like vinegar. Yeah, whatever, mate. Yeah, tourist or whatever. No, I just know how real ale works, and this is, but yeah, whatever. Sorry, you waiting in the queue, mate? There's like 200 people behind you. Oh, okay, whatever.
Oh, and just because Danny's asked, my water bottle says Linus Tech Tips because I'm a giant shill. It turns out.
You're an influencer. You're being sponsored by Linus. Tech.
I would love to be sponsored to do something like this, but no. Instead, I just have to beg my employer for an hour to do something.
We'll get on to I'll get onto the employer plug in the end, but my employer's happy for us to talk tech because someone's got to, and if anyone's got to be us talking like idiots. Jez did actually put it's a general problem with urban regeneration, and that's with in regards to the whole makeup of cities. And it is true. I think in that Guardian article we take a bit of an unnecessarily kind of sharp wallop there, because what's happening in Birmingham is not really any different to Hull or Leeds or or Bristol. It's pretty much the same across the. I think it's more highlighted by the fact that Birmingham is it's combined. If you do the Greater Birmingham thing and throw in Coventry and Wolverhampton and Dudley, and let's not go about how politicised that is, but it's 3.5 million people, and there's no correspondent here for any national newspaper. It's kind of mad.
Yeah.
But we're not cool enough because we don't like to sell ourselves. So.
Yeah, no. You know what?
You're not disagreeing because it's true.
Correct. But I'm also not trying to say that, because we do actually have a lot of independent journalists in the area, just no major actual employed correspondents from a national newspaper. I think the problem recently is in the last sort of. In the last kind of 15, 20 years is the national level thing. So central government, national newspapers are just not bothered about it. If you drill down, you get more interesting things. I think it was the Huffington Post last year chose Birmingham specifically because of its poor representation, and the Huff Post did, I think it was a week of editorial that was based specifically here. And that was really cool, and they asked a lot of just generic Brummies about what they thought, and this is quite a good sort of tech off topic kind of tie in here, because the HuffPost is it's a tech company that is also journalism. It's one of those kind of tie-ins. All right, I'm going to have to take you off that soapbox, because otherwise we're going to spend the next 10, 12 minutes on the soapbox of Birmingham. Can we
talk about AWS?
Yeah, I was about to say, because what was the phrase I used last time? Pipeline of bad decisions or something?
Yeah, pipeline of bad decisions. I like that. It's the sort of the gradual continuous integration, small moves that end in disaster 5 years later. There's two. I love the fact, I mentioned just before we started the podcast that the spanner in the works that was dropped this morning is that Salesforce are in talks to buy Slack. But anyway, aside from that,
I did not notice that one.
That just like suddenly slipped in and went, oh, hang on a minute. But we weren't going to talk about that. We're going to talk about AWS. So the basis of this is US East 1 region.
The biggest region they have.
Yeah, went down yesterday. Chaos ensues.
Surprisingly, didn't take out Netflix. Just took out everything else. Now, this is where I'm going to get on my soapbox and go, all these people going, we're on AWS, we're secure, everything's going to be fine. They've got all the auto provisioning. If it starts to fall over, it's going. No, you bloody plebs. That just means you're relying on one vendor for it to not fuck up.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the first swear that we've had on this podcast.
I'm sorry. It makes me ragey. It's like, we're on a platform. It's all many different data centers and stuff. Doesn't matter. If you don't remember to tell it to globally distribute your stuff, or more importantly, use more than one vendor, you're just waiting for it to implode.
On the flip side of that, to be a bit devil's advocate, not that I'm defending you should basically put your entire platform and business model entirely on AWS,
which is what most places do.
For if you're a starting product that is doing that Uber thing where it's a mixture of funding rounds versus how you actually structure a product that is going to take about 15 years for the returns to happen, and you've got to scale infinitely before you've even started, and therefore you've got to get pretty much senior DevOps personnel and engineers. When you start out, if you don't have the money to get those personnel in, multi-tenancy across multiple cloud products, it's not cheap and it's not easy, is it? Oh, we're so redundant because we've done like Elastic Beanstalk for the AWS portion, and the good news is if US West 1 goes down, then we've also got this on Google Cloud Cover. Yeah, but how much dev time and like resource did you actually spend to get that capability?
I dislike the fact that you are correct, but I will give you the correct there. But it's technically what you're describing is the way you're meant to do it. Like it used to be back in the day when you were co-locating, you would co-locate your backup in a different data center.
Yeah, we're getting dangerously close to it used to be so like good back then, aren't we?
Bucket mad.
Put file on FTP server, job done.
Oh, Monty Python.
That was just general like Yorkshire, really. Good, my cat is here to join in the podcast.
Yeah, well, for the people viewing on Twitch, there's a cat now. For those of you viewing on the podcast, you can't view.
Hello. Yes, hello. Here he is.
But then again, the obligatory technology fuzzball. Stop smelling the cat.
That's what you do when you have a cat. The other bit to the AWS thing, which is probably the most kind of important, is the dystopian future of the Internet of Things that we have built. And it is, isn't it? It's a nightmare. The first things that cropped up when I was feeding my son at about 4:00 in the morning, when I saw Twitter effectively catch fire, is, and you did see it when I shared my screen when it didn't work earlier, is first of all, Jeff Belknap posted, "I can't vacuum. I can't vacuum. He can't clean his house because that AWS node is down." And it begs the question, why could you not do the vacuuming because the internet has gone down? That makes no sense whatsoever. And then someone else joined in, and it was someone that goes by the handle SJP1804 and said, "My fucking doorbell doesn't work because US East 1 is having issues."
Second F-bomb?
That's the second F-bomb, but that was a quote, so I'm allowed to say that. So, I thought it wouldn't happen, but yes, we really are linking up our toasters and our doorbells to the Internet of Things. This has got to be terrible, hasn't it? Surely.
Well, I'm happy to state, about a week ago, my power went out. Something in my boiler actually was tripping everything. Fantastic, no hot water for 3 days. The thing I realized was, whilst I was trying to diagnose this myself, I couldn't use any of my lights. Or my heating, because I'd also put smart switches in them.
But why? Alexa, sort out my life for me. Come on, have some manual input. The way that I've seen lighting being used, smart lighting and things like that is and the way it should be used is when I went round to my pal Matt Andrews' house, and him and his Mrs. Maddie had set up some smart lights for the Christmas tree, and it said like, "Alexa, Wingardium Leviosa" to do a Harry Potter thing, and the lights came on. That's the Internet of Things. If it goes down, it means that your life isn't disrupted. It just means you don't get your pretty lights.
You're saying this, but I'm using smart IoT bulby things to power my face. Literally,
that's power your. Yeah, that's okay, because then if it goes down, apart from the fact we couldn't do the podcast, then it means that your face is slightly sort of darker and we see less of you. Arguable whether that's a good thing or not, but it doesn't. But it means also that it's like, come on, let me insult him. But it does look at my cat. But it also, like, you know, your life doesn't get destroyed because you can't do the vacuuming, right?
Mm-hmm. That is true. However, AWS US East 1 being down, or any data center, or GitHub or Stack Overflow, that normally would be an excuse for I need to feel busy. I'm going to go Hoover.
Just now you can't even do that. You can't. What can I do? I'm just going to browse it. Oh no! I'm just. What about some cooking? Oh no! My slow cooker is plugged into the cloud. Okay. Etc. Etc. So yes, people talk about the when they dreamt about the future, and it'd be like, you know, hover cars and jetpacks, and actually, it's my doorbell doesn't work because the internet's down.
I'm going to just say this one thing for the Salesforce bit so that we can then start closing out this podcast because we're coming close to the hour. Salesforce buying anything is bad. Salesforce itself is not bad. Salesforce has a reason to exist. It does great work for people in sales. Sucks for engineers. It's great for salespeople. There is no denying this.
I like Heroku.
No, that's the problem. Heroku has done nothing new since they got bought. Literally, Salesforce has put it on life support. They bought Heroku, so now here we're doing Heroku Enterprise, and then nada.
That's kind of what I expected when Oracle bought MySQL, and that's not what happened. I thought they were going to kill it, and they didn't. So I was a bit surprised, really. Yeah,
but Heroku has been owned by Salesforce for years now, and they still haven't done anything with it.
Okay.
It's just essentially making enough money to justify them not turning it off.
That doesn't sound great. now that you put it like that, it doesn't sound great at all.
So, considering Slack, the reason this is important is I actually hate Slack. Slack is awful. Slack is noisy, it's messy, but you know what? During this pandemic, I would not trade it because the BrumTech Slack and the DevRel Slack and a couple of the others that I have are the only place I have relevant tech conversations with people that I would normally be having just as office chat.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's true. I think a lot of the general chatter around, and also it's allowed me to continue my job really. It's allowed me to continue my job really. I got, you know, an article I'm writing at the moment about how we set up for online. Maybe I should do an article specifically on when your cat invades your office, which is happening right now still for anyone that's listening on Spotify or Anchor FM. Come on, cat, come on. You can't have fuss forever. A really interesting thread, which I'd have a look at. If you go on Twitter and check out Joe Nash's Twitter account and have a look at the thread that he starts, which is in this article I'm writing at the moment about Slack, and it is, ladies and gentlemen, when you want to start your new tech organization, your new community, because it's an accompaniment to a meetup or it's an accompaniment to a product, etc., please create a new Slack and everyone sign up to Slack is definitely not the silver bullet, and people will like stop doing. And we're not. It's COVID's throwing community management in tech into all sorts of problems, isn't it? Of like, do we use vanilla? Do we use Discord? Do we use Slack?
I'm having this discussion at work right now because we have a Slack community, but it's useless, and not in the fact that it's because it's a place for conversation, but that's not what most people are using the Slack for. Most people are using it for tech support. So there's no conversation, so there's no actual community there. But that is where we dump our community.
I feel that that from our perspective, for the Jump 24 perspective, it's Dan, my boss, stroke co-founder of the studio. He's on. Well, actually, and Alex, our lead developer, regularly, you know, on the Laravel Slack. But I've seen it on the Symfony Slack, and I'm a member of the Symfony Slack in PHP land that does turn into a bit of tech support, and there's not much actual DevRel stuff going. There's no product feedback loops and things like that happening.
So I am Slack is an important communication channel. I'm not going to deny that because it is. It's a really good way it's an instant messaging platform. So it's fantastic for doing instant feedback things. But that only works if you're constantly communicating. Now that doesn't work as Slack, so I can see why Joe and we need to go elsewhere to do this stuff.
Yeah.
But what to do is another minefield of, oh God.
That's just not been answered. Because if it's the conversations are still going, and when if Joe is giving the advice on it, but still there isn't really a
he doesn't have the silver bullet. He just has a better educated one than us.
Yeah, he's basically got the advice on it, but the if you think that you have a round peg and you have a round hole and it will go through with regards to your specific circumstances, like requirements for your community, it doesn't exist, does it? So yeah, it's an interesting discussion that's still ongoing, especially in the DevRel channels are still like trying to, and how you monitor the metrics of that, of what's successful engagement and things like that. That's just ongoing as well, isn't it?
Oh yes.
So should we do the one of the outro things apart from local events is should we do the events thing, because we didn't really look at one thing for feedback is we talked about we mentioned for our closing points for this is our social details, but general things in the tech scene to look out for we should probably do first.
Well, I would have said Fusion, but that was last night and you really missed out. I did a great job and the crowd was amazing and the speakers are fantastic, and you missed out. Having a baby sucks.
It's great, but it's terrible.
Yeah. But so that's me praising, and I'm only going to say this because I wanted to make sure that it's on record on the internet. Hannah did a flipping amazing job sourcing and organizing the speakers, hence the reason that. So I'm only mentioning it because I wanted to give Hannah a big bit of praise for doing it.
That's because in general, as a team now with four of us, everyone tends to know what they're doing. The speaker lineup that was put together, that Hannah put together, looked absolutely fantastic. So,
yep. So let's move from the past and into the future.
Both of the for reference, just to basically like dump on Mike. I had to pick both of these things, and I say I had to pick them. I basically put a message saying, "Has anyone got any events?" And these two came up from Danny and Jez Higgins, respectively. So if you introduce the first one, I'll do the second.
Oh, I'm not introducing either of them. That I'm throwing you under that very, very odd-shaped bus.
Okay, right. Well, I did. Or in that case, you drive the internets for pyjamas. Pyjamas.
I was doing the linky thing and sharing in the chat.
There we go. So pyjamas. So Danny just posted this and said pyjamas. I had a look at it. It's got a massive lineup. It's the Python community pyjamas because you're in your jammers, right? Because we're all in our jammers. It's actually links in with you got this conf from your couch. Similar kind of theme, but pajamas conf. This Python conference is just a big lineup. Some really, really interesting talks across the Python ecosystem, and it's free.
Actual free.
Yeah, free.
No, I'm not going to say that one.
I love the way you went straight to blockchain for Python developers and then stopped yourself saying anything about blockchain. You say the word blockchain and then venture capitalists throw money at you. It's great.
So that's how Logs made money.
You don't do blockchain stuff. That's a lie. So yeah, there's loads of really, really interesting. Just on the one that you're on there, like a fascinating word, decorators in Python, decorator pattern. Constant kind of debate of whether we've got some products where it's a Jump 24 where we've implemented the decorator pattern, and to do it right is hard. So to do it the right way, it's kind of interesting. There's loads of good stuff on there. And the second one is Nordev, my pals at Nordev who run that.
I am trying to. I've got the meetup page coming. There we go.
Alex and Sean, who took over Nordev last year from Paul Gregner, probably got his surname wrong, have done an absolutely amazing job of just making Norwich's development scene, which sounds very, very Alan Partridge, even though it comes from there, of like check out Norwich's development scene. It's actually rather good, but it is absolutely brilliant. But just,
am I allowed to make jokes about Norwich?
I suppose so. Why not?
Well, they're going to be amazing at typing if they've got 6 fingers.
Oh, it's just so boring. That's like a 1980s alternative comedy, like a comedy on Channel 4 in 1989. Like, people from Norwich have got 6 fingers. Oh, whatever, and people from Bristol are farmers, and Brummies are stupid, and Glaswegians are drunk, etc., etc. Ignoring the stereotypes of the UK. This talk coming up on December the 3rd is about is from the leader of the believe it or not, the Norwich Astrological Society, astronomical, the thing that's not horoscopes. The thing is not horoscopes, and it's about the Webb telescope, so it looks quite interesting.
Okay, that's actually one that I may actually tune in for, because I've started to discover, surprisingly, I'm bored of some of the repeat technology stuff we're getting at the moment on the internet, because of the fact that everything's turned virtual, everything's become immediately accessible.
This was something specifically that two PHP meetup organizers have said. They've said, well, we're kind of struggling with the talks at the moment because it's all the same group of speakers all doing the same topic over and over again. And I'm going to throw my name under there because I'm part of that. So anything that mixes it up a bit.
Yeah, but it's just a case of before the zombie apocalypse, there would be the scarcity of you'd actually have to be in said location to enjoy it. Now the fact it's all online, it's not happening on the day you want to watch it in Birmingham. It's going to be on in Norfolk a week later. So it's having a little bit of originality and a bit of actual FOMO, fear of missing out and actually wanting to take part in the community and actually be there for the talks and stuff. Don't get that anymore. So I still have a baby son, so I still get FOMO. Like I missed Fusion, my own event I'm a team member of last night. But Nordev are really. They always had the program since Alex and Sean have taken over is very, very varied. It's really interesting. I am going to do something very, very sensible now. It's going to confuse the heck out of you, and that's if. Oh. This is not good. Have you looked at the Birmingham Tech calendar?
I am writing an article about right now about events basically dropping off, and so presumably what you're going to say is there's nothing on the calendar.
No, there's December 1st, 2nd, 3rd. That's it. That is the emptiest I have seen this calendar in a long time.
Yeah, part of the article, which is the article that we're writing, it's for a bit of shameless promotion for Jump 24, which is kind of why I'm here anyway. It's about how we took a talk on the road and how we approached the fact that COVID happened and how we did it and what equipment do you need and what equipment do you need if you want to host something and how do we make everything virtual in this day and age. And one of the parts of it was COVID's impact on the community, and the Birmingham tech scene is slowly dying because everyone's I can imagine that so many meetup organizers are like, well, I just about had the time to do a physical meetup. I don't have the time to transition all of what I was doing and then saw speakers and then get all the virtual setup. I will add that, that for some successful meetups, and Stuart Language is a big sort of fan of this, is keeping the cadence going of just, if you don't think you can do it because you need a fancy setup, don't. Just do a Zoom call and invite people in, because anything is better than nothing if you want to keep that idea alive.
The problem there is Zoom. I like everybody else, I'm having massive Zoom fatigue. If I have to do a Zoom call outside of work, I try and avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, that also features in part of what I'm writing, which is at 6:30 p.m. You've been doing a load of JavaScript debugging all day, and then it comes to the evening, good news! Why don't you join us on a Zoom call where we're going to talk about JavaScript debugging. Oh no, mate. I think I'll just crack open a beer and watch The Mandalorian. That's what you're going to do, isn't it?
Oh, that sounds like a great plan for an exactly 65 minutes.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. But okay, right. So we've done that. If there's any events that the crowd has seen that they would like to promote, and due to the fact this is a podcast, just us mentioning it by name means that somebody may find it and be able to attend this obscure event, because I'm not going to lie, Nordev is relatively obscure because it's in the middle of nowhere called Norwich. Norwich is...
Ooh. Have you learned nothing from the Alan Partridge series? Don't annoy the people of Norwich.
That's fine. Shall I start on Lincoln instead?
I don't know anything about Lincoln apart from the fact it's got a really nice cathedral. There you go. Yes. See, Jez is coming to Nordev's defense, and it is true. They are doing fantastic work. To be honest, in terms of cross-discipline stuff, they are one of the most exciting general-purpose meetups that I've come across. There is another one called Crafty Coders in Coventry, but I'm not sure if Joe is still running it at the moment, which was in Sainsbury's
yes.
Tech Customer HQ.
Yeah. But okay, so if you've got anything else, mention it very quickly so that we can shout it off whilst we do the outro to this thing. And as has been pointed out by somebody much smarter than me, we actually need to give people a chance to find us to be able to actually say stuff to us. So because Jim is silly and doesn't have it in his name, here are our Twitter handles. So it's your own fault. So if you want to get hold of me, I'm on Twitter at UKMadLZ. LZ, not is. People seem to get that wrong. Don't know why. It's all in lowercase.
Don't choose a stupid name.
I've been using that since I was 14. Bugger off.
Change it from a stupid name. I mean, we all had Hotmail addresses. Mine is Second J, which is my name.
You may want to point out there's a second E, because that threw me for a long time when I first met you.
It's French. I'm related to the French royal family that got their heads chopped off because they were bad at their jobs. Luckily, I'm not that great at my job, but one thing I am good at is plugging my employer. So there's my Twitter handle at SecondJ, and you can also find out what we do at Jump24 with at Jump24 Engineering.
There is their website, so if anybody wants to find it, they are jump24.co.uk, and they actually do have a decent engineering set of articles on the website and an engineering Twitter as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
that's the at Jump24 Engineering, and there's at Jump24. So the blog is likely to get a lot more sort of souped up with interesting engineering kind of content. That's the way we're going with that. So yes, check out what we do from PHP land. Maybe start getting some JS land in there.
Oh, we've had somebody point it out we have something from the audience that's come through to my Twitter. So Richard has pointed out that some of the stuff is missing from the calendar because they don't have a location. So I believe the script that pulls that stuff in does use Meetup with the location field. And because it's virtual, there's no location, so they may have dropped off. So there may be more meetups than we see on the calendar.
I mean, this is classic QA, isn't it? A person walks into a bar and orders 600 beers and minus 25 beers and etc. and orders NAN beers, and the expected results happen, and then they put it live, and a customer walks into a bar and asks where the toilet is, and the whole thing burns to the ground.
But yeah, so they Richard
really is that just going to ignore that one? That was not a bad QA joke.
Yeah, it wasn't about QA joke. The problem is QAs are the joke.
Oh, spicier.
Oh, and Danny, yes, I'm sticking with a thing that I've had since I was 14 because it's now on every platform I use. The amount of effort it would be to find a new nickname and then apply it everywhere is more effort than I would ever exceed on anything, including getting paid.
For anyone that wants to hack Mike's bank accounts and things like that, it's very obvious that he has the same password for everything.
I hate you so much. I'm now going to have to change that. Yes, so that's us, and we've just heckled ourselves, the crowd, and I've been heckled by the crowd anyway. So
we've made everyone miserable. We've heckled ourselves. We've insulted each other. We've insulted the crowd. We've insulted Norwich.
There's not much of a crowd there. Oof.
Still.
Do not get me started. It's never a good place. Anyway, no, me in being a good place. Norwich is actually quite nice. But
Yeah, it is.
Yes. So in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing this again, and we're going to be joined by Jonathan Kingsley. So that is going to be a random as heck conversation. We're going to have some normal off-topic stuff, but Jonathan Kingsley is way too smart and has done way too much stuff for somebody who's barely been able to grow a mustache.
Is that you or me?
I've never seen you with facial hair, so I have no idea. But I was meeting you.
There's a picture from a friend of mine on Instagram from about 2013 where I tried to grow a mustache. The stock. I don't know why I mentioned it. It's not worth going on Instagram to try and find.
It's off topic. But yes, so we're going to be joined by Kingsley in 2 weeks' time. So this is going to be me and Jim signing off, and we'll see you in 2 weeks or on the podcast.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Doodles.